In this video, I'm going to be tying this 3/4 inch PEX pipe into this 3/4 inch PVC pipe. I'm going to be using Sharkbite fittings. With this adapter, this end fits into the PVC and this end fits into the PEX pipe. Now that PVC that I'm tying into leads to this spigot. I recently ran a new supply line from my meter to my house. In doing so, I cut off the water supply to all these old pipes because I was tired of patching leaks. And now because that PVC leading to this spigot was tied into this old rusted pipe which no longer has water, I have to reestablish water supply to that PVC to get this spigot back in service. And at the other end of this PEX pipe, I'm going to use this 3/4 inch T to tie into the existing supply line coming into my home, which is also 3/4 inch PEX. I'm going to splice this T into that supply line and then come off the T with this 3/4 inch line going into that PVC pipe to reestablish water supply to that spigot. To get under my house to the crawl space, I've got to run it underneath this concrete footing. I'll put painter's tape over the end of the PEX pipe, and that tape will just keep the dirt out. I'm headed under the house to tie this fitting into my 3/4 inch supply line. Here's the 3/4 inch PEX line coming in from my meter, and here's that line that I'm tying in going to the spigot. I have it cut off at the meter and I bled off as much as I could. I have all three ends of the pipe cleaned up. I've also made insertion depth marks on all three pipes, and for 3/4 inch Sharkbite fittings, they have an insertion depth of 1 1/8 inches. Now the insertion depth is different for 1/2 inch pipe and 5/8 and 3/4 and 1 inch, etc. What that means is when I put this fitting on all three ends, it needs to be inserted right up to that green mark. That will ensure me that each hose is fully seated inside of the fitting. If you don't, then you're just guessing as to whether or not you have it all the way in. So don't forget the insertion marks. Now it's just a matter of placing the fitting over the hose and pushing it in all the way to that mark. There's one. There we go. That's all the way in. All right, last one. Oh, there we go. So now it's back outside to tie this line into that 3/4 inch PVC, cut the water back on, check for leaks, and if there are no leaks, I'm going to have to wrap this fitting and the fitting outside with silicone wrap. It'll seal up this brass fitting, dirt and water won't get into it, and it's necessary if you want to keep the 25-year warranty on these Sharkbite fittings intact. You have to put the tape on if you're burying the fitting. Back outside we go. I'm going to cut this PVC pipe off and make the connection here. There we go. Making one more cut back here so that I can unscrew this elbow, this fitting, and get it out of the way, and then run that PEX line straight into the PVC. Now cut the PEX pipe down to length and make sure there are no rough edges on the inside. There is a deburring tool you can use for that, but both of these ends are completely smooth, so I'm in good shape. I already have an insertion mark on the PVC. Now I'm going to put one on the PEX. 1 1/8 inch. I'm going to slide it onto the PEX first, and with good leverage, that's easy to do. I can feel that that's bottomed out right there. Now I'll tie this into the PVC. I can feel that bottom out when it hit. Ready to cut the water back on, check for leaks. And once I'm sure I don't have any leaks, I'll go back underneath the house, wrap that fitting with this Sharkbite underground wrap. Also wrap this fitting as well. Water's back on. And no leaks here. And this spigot will now be back in service. Back under the house one more time, check that fitting for leaks. Bone dry, no leaks. So we're in good shape. Now it's time to put that tape on. What they recommend is going 1 inch past the end of the fitting and then overlapping each layer between 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. And then as you're applying the tape, you remove the backing. And that activation, when the tape touches itself, is what ultimately cures and forms a seal, protecting the brass fitting against water and dirt and that kind of thing. I'm going to start peeling off that backing and applying the tape. And you can really stretch it and pull it tight. And it does bond to itself on contact. So I'm good with that. I'm gonna leave it and let it harden and start covering up the pipe with dirt. And right here is where I tied in that new supply line, that 3/4 inch PEX, into my house plumbing. I also used a Sharkbite fitting for that. And while I'm under here doing everything else, I'm gonna put some pipe insulation on this. The insulation's on, now it's time to cover up that pipe and get out from under the house. The last thing to do out here is wrap this fitting with that Sharkbite tape. I have a foot of tape cut off, and I'm gonna do it in the same way, going 1 inch beyond the end of the fitting, peeling off the backing as I go. And I did get the tape in the dirt a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Let me get this last end wrapped nice and tight. And according to the directions, it starts to cure immediately and takes a couple of hours to fully cure. But you can cover it up right away. Now, I didn't cover this up yesterday because I wanted to let it sit overnight to see how it felt when it was fully cured, to see if it got hard. and it did not. It's still soft, but based on the directions, it is fully cured now. I already have everything else covered up. This is the last spot. I will fill this in and I'm good to go. Got everything covered up and we are back in business. Now, I know there are a lot of opinions out there, some good, some bad, about PEX pipe, and especially about Sharkbite fittings. And yes, Sharkbite fittings are a little bit expensive. These range from $10 to $12 a piece, but the PEX pipe is cheap. I got 100 feet for $35, which is about 28 cents per foot. And the low cost of the PEX pipe brought down the overall cost per foot of the repair. And none of those fittings are in a location where if they do start to leak, it's going to cause any damage. It'll just mean that I have to go back and replace the fitting. As far as ease of installation, it cannot possibly get much easier than using PEX pipe and Sharkbite fittings. But long term, will it last? I have no idea. We'll see. I'll also put a link down below to a video that I have showing repair to rusty pipe just like this using fiberglass epoxy repair tape. So if you're bored, check that out. Hope all this helps you out. Thanks for watching.